What's your journey to high level?
To high levels, everybody will probably remember a thing called COVID-19.
There's always something else to do. Do you relate?
I can understand exactly where you're coming from. It also comes with age and grey hair of knowing when to switch off as well.
Do you reckon there is something that could make restaurants business work better?
For better restaurants to build an in-house ordering system, you can do that cheaply these days.
And you wake up in the morning and you're on your narrowboat. Where do you normally you go?
I'm in Banbury now waiting for a couple of spare parts and everything breaks in a boat. So if you don't understand what boat means, the acronym is bring out another 1,000.
I'm trying to save my brain as much as I can by being less in proactive mode and more in reactive mode.
That's the power of the world we live in right now. You can, if you use AI for good, not evil.
How do you personalize those email? Is it UTMs or?
No idea. So, in case you don't know, vibe coding is not real coding.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode on the High Level Experience podcast. Buckle up because today's guest is somebody who's been around in the block and back in the high-level universe. He's not just a seasoned high-level expert, he's the wizard behind the curtain when it comes to AI automation. He's the author of You're Selling AI Wrong and Here's How to Fix It book. He's also all about cutting through the noise and making AI work for you without sounding like a tech robot. And he manages to do all that, believe it or not, from a narrowboat cruising through canals in England. How cool is that? Today, we're diving into some juicy stuff like how to sell AI services to local businesses without the techie mumbo jumbo, the secret sauce behind his daily content machine, which I've seen recently, by the way, and it's pretty epic. And also some gold nuggets he's picked up from helping over 7,000 agencies grow their GHL accounts. So this is going to be one heck of a ride. Please welcome to the show, Steven Tann.
Hey guys, thanks for having me, mate. It's great to chat again.
Steven, great to have you on the show, mate. You've got this knack for making AI sound less like a sci-fi movie. I've been getting your emails, and what I'm wondering is, how did this all come about for you? This whole journey with high level, and obviously now you're very entrenched with AI, but what's your story? What's your journey to high level?
To high levels, everybody will probably remember a thing called COVID-19 that came around a few years ago. I was in Melbourne at the time, which was the most locked down city in the world over that COVID period. And I'd worked in sales. I'm a chef by trade, and I've worked in sales and worked in different things. And I was building chatbots on ManyChat. ManyChat was a big thing back in 2013 or something along those lines, or 2015 or something like that. And I was building some chatbots for people that were doing live events. So they'd register through Facebook Messenger, send a message, the bot would qualify them, remember them, send them reminders and all of that sort of thing. And this is before the 24-hour Facebook rule sort of ruined that, and you had to tweak those sorts of things. So I was building bots for people, getting people to live events. We were even getting them to pre-order coffees for when they got there. Here's your Bill, here's your latte Mary, here's your Americano, and things like that, all done through the bot. And then COVID hit, and the live events shut down and they all went online. And at that same time, I discovered HighLevel. And HighLevel was an unknown quantity at the time, but I wanted to be able to send emails as well. I could do that through ManyChat, but the deliverability was not good. I wanted to be able to send SMSs and things like that as well, and remember who they are and if they attended and if they clicked the links and all of that, something which HighLevel did. So I built those chatbots and connected them to HighLevel, and we went to online events. And basically the stats on the chatbots that I did, and I built systems out for 2 customers for free. The only thing they needed to do was put "powered with heart" by Contact Owl, which was my agency name, on the bottom of every SMS and every email with a link to my website using their referral link. Now this was fairly clever because each of these businesses had over 70,000 small businesses on their mailing list that they were sending emails out to. So nice. I didn't niche down. I was solving problems. Like a lot of people think high level, you've got a niche and look after roofers or tree loppers or dental or whatever it may be. a niche can be an avenue of high level as well. So that niche could be missed call text back in the day, and your upsell to missed call text back is now voice AI. Reputation management, and your upsell on reputation management is having AI respond to those messages as well. Things like that. So I was selling problem-solving tools, if you like.
Yeah.
But yeah, my chatbots used to increase. The average turn-up rate to a webinar is around about 30%. So 100 people will register, 30 people will show up. My chatbots had got that up to about 80%. The close rate on a mid-ticket item is around about 20% on webinars on a mid-ticket item, and these guys were selling mid-ticket items. It's higher on a low ticket and lower on a high ticket item. But we increased from about that 20% to about 60% on the close with the chatbot following up and things like that. So that's what got me started in high level. It was all referral. I never spent a cent on advertising. I built it by outsourcing everything. I struggled to about 15 sub-accounts and then realised I needed to outsource to grow. So I found a fulfillment company to do my support, to do my onboarding, standardized snapshots as well, because I didn't have a niche. So I had one snapshot over my entire agency. And that gave me the power to do group training calls. I could have a lawyer sitting next to a dentist, sitting next to a dog walker, sitting next to a tree lopper. And they all had workflow A101 or B303 or whatever it may be. So we could talk, we could do those group coaching calls as well, which allowed me to scale.
Oh,
that's my journey to high level.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I was, it's crazy sometimes, like the how random things are, because you mentioned you're chef by trade, and now you're into high level.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a chef by trade too.
Yeah.
Can you believe it? Yeah.
Exactly
So
right.
you were working in the kitchens, working in restaurants back then. Did you do anything with your trade?
Yeah, no, I travelled the world. I've worked in Switzerland, Austria, Germany, London, all over the world cooking. I won 3 Seafood Restaurant of the Year awards in Melbourne. I was the head chef at the Botanical Hotel in South Yarra when we won Best Restaurant in Australia. So I was all right at it too. The biggest brigade I ran was 24 chefs as the head chef, not the executive chef. So yeah, no, I travelled around and basically I knocked my body around. I used to race motocross as well, and I played AFL football, and my back was going, and standing on hard concrete floors all day in not very comfortable shoes as really wears out your back. And the light of giving up cooking actually, and was one night my mate came around and my now wife was walking on my back because my back was so sore. And it was she was walking up and down on my back. And long story short, at night I woke up in the middle of the morning, about 2 o'clock in the morning, and things weren't right. So I went to hospital. I went to Box Hill Hospital. My mum was in Doncaster, and they rushed me to St Vincent's Hospital for emergency surgery in the morning. C4 and 5 were cutting through my spine. So with my wife walking on my back, I could have been basically a paraplegic.
Paraplegic, yeah.
Paraplegic, yeah. They cut through my neck in here, fused it all together, and that was the end of my cooking career. So I got into sales. I used to sell Indian wine into the Australian market successfully as well. And that really teaches you how to sell. When you're selling a product that nobody's heard of, that nobody needs, and there's a better local equivalent that's cheaper, that's a tough sell. So you get used to the door being shut on your face, and you get used to working your way around and finding good points about what you're selling.
Certainly, yeah, working in the kitchen can be a hard work. And also from my memories working in kitchens, I didn't actually work in that many countries like you did, but I did a bit of a stint in Scotland and in Greece and a little bit of in Australia, when I arrived here first time back in 2010. But there's one thing I do to this day, which is like when I'm in front of a computer and doing something for the business, high level, or going through emails or something, there's always something. There's never, I'm done. There's never, I can rest now. There's always something else to do. And now, I don't know if it's from kitchen or not, but I do remember when I did work in the kitchen, it is like that. You're either prepping or you cooking or you cleaning, or do you relate?
I can understand exactly where you're coming from. It also comes with age and grey hair of knowing when to switch off as well. Listen, I was never a passionate chef either. It sounds like I should have been with where I worked and all of that sort of thing, but I left high school when I was 16 to become a chef because I wanted to travel. It was either a chef or a nurse. I couldn't become a nurse because I hate blood. So it was become a chef. And I did that so I could travel. I've always had the travelling bug, which I'm doing right now as well. So I've never changed. But I understand exactly where you're coming from. In services, there's always something to do. And when you're running a team, you've got to concentrate on that person and making sure they're doing the right thing as well. So your mind is always rolling. But I do miss from my cooking days, I miss that adrenaline of a service. You know what I'm talking about when you've got a 100 cover restaurant and you do 200 covers and everything's perfect and everything runs out and everyone's had a great time. You got the music in the background, you're having a ball, and you get to the end of the service, you clean down, you mop the floors, and I always stayed to the end and mop the floors with the apprentices and all of that sort of thing. And you get to the bar and you have that beer and you're with your kitchen mates and all of that sort of thing. Yeah, it was a good service. I miss that adrenaline.
Yeah. I miss it too.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I work in Neutral Bay, which is up north Sydney, and there's a pub, quite a known pub called the Oaks Hotel, and it's got a nice oak tree in the middle. Beautiful. Massive beer garden. And that was 2010. I was looking for work. I was on a student visa, and so I landed the job there in the kitchen as a pizza chef. So there was actually bunch of Czech people and Slovakian people as a crew, as a team working in that kitchen. We would do mussels and prawns and everything. But we would do 300, 400, 500 pizzas a night, and the docket would just keep printing. Yeah. And I remember that adrenaline. You got to move fast. There's a tough life in the kitchen. There's no room for error, and you just got to be fast. But then when we finished, exactly like you said, you scrub everything down, you clean everything, you sit down with your mates, and we were actually a really good bunch. We would crack jokes all the time, even during the busy times. So yeah, I do miss it. Yeah, it's different now.
Did you ever I'll ask you a question. Did you ever not be able to get to sleep because when you're trying to sleep, you could hear the docket printer in your ear go,
oh yeah,
and keeping you awake at night when you're trying to go to bed. Oh, not another order.
No, that was a thing. I do remember. Yeah, it was a busy place. But yeah, relating to your crowd, I think it's a good topic here. Now, being in a high-level ecosystem, for me, selling high-level under my own brand to businesses and being able to just hang out with them on these calls, on these open office calls, there's something to it as well. I can see the correlation. And business has fundamentally similar problems. They're nuanced, but the underlying principles are very same. Everybody needs leads. They need to convert them. They need to acquire more customers. And I wonder, with this AI stuff and what you've been doing, I've been getting your emails, which are pretty impressive, by the way. I know you showed me, but the guys that might be listening, they might have no clue. But yeah, I wonder if there is, if we put our chef hat back on and think about, well, what we know now with all this cool stuff that high level can do, automations and all that, do you reckon there is something that could make restaurants business work better? I mean, it's a labor based, but I always like to challenge see if there's any creative ideas. Until we have humanoid robots, that'll be easier, but I wonder.
I always liked restaurants, and it's not a high-level product as such, but for restaurants, mobile wallet cards. So you've got push notifications. There's a few guys that do it. There's Boomerang Me, and there's old Walletly or Wallet Campaigns, I think they're called now. I always like those for restaurants because, especially for restaurants in busy areas, in the CBD areas and all of that sort of thing. So get people to sign up, give them 10% off their first order or something like that, and get them to scan that card. Coffee card, you can turn it into a coffee card or a frequent diner card. But what I found always worked quite well, especially for restaurants in built-up areas, was if they came to a Monday lunch and they had nobody in the restaurant, you got an instant push notification to hundreds of people around you. Come in for lunch, but I just did this at an Indian restaurant that had Bain Marie food. So if it got to 1 o'clock and there was too much food in the Bain Marie, they'd reduce it by 25%, send a push notification, and there'd be 100 people queued out the door. And high level can sort of help with that. Scan the QR code to leave a review, have AI respond to that review. A lot of businesses don't understand that getting a review is fantastic, but responding to that review is even better. It pushes you higher up that local SEO. So having those responses as well. But restaurants are a tough game as well. They say, and the saying is still true anywhere in the world, if you've got too much money, give it to me and buy a restaurant and we'll fix that problem. Sorry to all those restaurant owners listening. Years experience in hospitality and running pubs and all of that sort of thing, and it's a tough game. For better restaurants to build an in-house ordering system, you can do that cheaply these days through Gloria Foods tied into HighLevel for your marketing campaigns, and take that 30% away from Uber. But you've got to have an established business to be doing that, because Uber comes along and takes 30%. And you being in the kitchen, generally a third is the rough way to run. A third costs and labour, a third food costs, and sort of a third rent, insurance, electricity, a third food costs and wages. Food costs and wages a third, and the other third's profit. But when Uber come in and take 30%, where do you think that's coming from? And you're not allowed to change the prices of your menu or anything like that. So it's a tough game.
It is a tough gig. Yeah. I mean, I wonder, maybe because the restaurant business, there is perishables. That's a big one. Cost of the food, and if it goes off, especially if it's some fancy food, a lobster, those expensive ingredients, that can basically chew all your profit away. So I wonder if you could plug in, now put my thinking head on, like data engineered, leveraged automation, because you got to do your stock take, right? So if you do a stock take as a chef, if you just enter it somewhere and then it lives in a spreadsheet, and then if you could combine it with your point of sale system, then you know how many meals went out, and then you know how much estimation per meal, how much of that particular ingredient has gone into that meal. You could start to create some predictive models that you could then be proactively reaching out to you, and especially also based on the data of like the patrons on typical days where it's busy, not busy. If you could combine all that, you could pretty much build like your own restaurant system that could be maybe in a form of a voice AI outbound call to the owner to say, hey, based on the data, it looks like tomorrow you're going to have a loss historically. So do you want me to run a campaign with, like you said, with those vouchers? That could be like basically like a Jarvis, but the restaurant is controlled by Jarvis, like in the Iron Man movie. And like literally because...
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun, because you could track the stock, you could track what you've got, historical data, you could get the weather feeding in as well. Ring up the
weather,
owners,
economic situations as well, right? Because people spend less and all that.
Yep, exactly right. Alerts if the price of goods were going up or things like that. But like anything, any system that you build, it's only as good as the information you put into it as well. So you need somebody putting that information in, but you can automate a ton of it. You could get, I love Manus. You could take a photo of the goods received with Manus and instruct that to put it into the spreadsheet, so it'd be as easy as taking a photo. So you could build it. It'd be a lot of fun. It'd be a lot of fun to build.
Oh, 100%. This is the stuff I enjoy doing. I wonder if it's like naturally, if HighLevel is just attracting all us nerds for this stuff. Because I know there's other people who just jump on HighLevel and they don't really get into the weeds of things, but they just go into the sales and they're killing it, but they're keeping it really basic. Versus there's people like me, like I really like the challenge and like trying to think outside the box and trying to create something new that hasn't been done before. I always approach it from that, because that's my motivating factor as opposed to making money. Is that similar for you, or?
Always got to make money.
Yeah, you do, obviously,
But yeah, my motto now is I love to help people. There's people that I coach, there's people that I consult, there's people I get hundreds of messages a week through Messenger or WhatsApp from people that I've heard of, people that I know, people that I don't know, reaching out and asking for advice. And I learned from one of the HighLevel of networking events in London that was last year from a person that I admire a lot, a guy named Rob Bailey, who is the OG affiliate of HighLevel. I ended up having about 4 beers with Rob at the after party. I wouldn't leave him alone. I was fanboying him. But the one piece of advice I took away from that was give away everything you know for free. Give it all away. It's not easy what you do because you've perfected the way, and most people won't try to do it. They will hire you to do it, but give it all away for free. So that's what I do.
That's what you do. And also I wonder, because from what I've seen, how you do what you do, it seems like you're more of a supporter. Like you don't, I mean, you've got your own agency, but you work with Bound, and what's the go there? Is that natural progression to it, or you never wanted to like just go all in on your own SaaS?
So I had my own SaaS. I built and sold my own SaaS. So my business, Contact Owl, got to 156 subs, and I sold it. I've been involved in the gold SaaS there, and another company called Maybe Tech, and you mentioned the Ant and that. I've been on stage a few times and helping businesses grow, but I want to do another agency.
You may not realize this, but for the last 2 years, I've had a secret weapon that has made running my business inside of HighLevel so much easier. You see, there is so much that HighLevel can do, which is amazing, but it's a lot of work to stay up to date with it. And even more so if my customers are asking me questions about it. And this is why I'm excited to announce that our show is officially part of the HLPT Creator Network. This is HighLevel Pro Tools, an organization that I've been using to run support for my customers, as well as give me a ton of awesome epic add-ons that make running, launching, and differentiating my SaaS inside of HighLevel so much easier. And now that they're an official sponsor of the show, they've done something pretty bloody awesome. If you go to hlpt.com/experience, you can get one of their incredible tools absolutely for free. No purchase necessary, just for being a listener on the show. So head over to hlpt.com/experience, grab that free tool, and I promise you this is going to improve the conversion rates on your page. Check out all the other stuff that they offer and tell them that Pete sent you.
You know what's wild? There's a smarter way to grow your agency and help more local businesses without adding more stress. That's what HighLevel does. It's your all-in-one sales, marketing, automation, and AI system. No more duct taping tools together or paying for 20 different subscriptions that barely talk to each other. I've been using it for 5 years with my own white-level version, Stand Out from the Pack, helping Aussie businesses like Dimitri, a Canberra electrician, who now runs his jobs, quotes, calls, and follow-ups with our built-in AI employee. If you're an agency, HighLevel lets you do exactly that. Support your clients in new ways while building stable, recurring revenue every month. And if you're a local business, partner up with somebody who knows your market and your industry. If you're in Tasmania, my mate Jared from Boulder Digital, for example, has you covered. If you're in Canberra, that's my turf. Check out standoutfromthepack.com.au and we'll get you sorted. The point is, there's probably a high-level agency or SaaSpreneur near you. We're seasoned marketers, tech-savvy super nerds who love helping local businesses grow. We're global, we're connected, we're high-levelers. Now, I've got something really special for you guys. I've negotiated an exclusive 30-day HighLevel trial that's double the usual just for you. Sign up your agency through gohighlevel.com/vid or upgrade your existing plan, and I'll hook you up with over $3,200 worth of bonuses, resources, templates, and snapshots I normally give to my private clients only. So whether you're scaling an agency or leveling up your business, start with the right system. gohighlevel.com/vid or team up with your local SaaSpreneur and let's make business simple again. One platform, one login, no duct tape, just results.
Agencies are hard. Agencies are hard work, and I've spoken to, you mentioned about 7,000 agencies in my time working with some fulfillment companies, some different ones, and hi Matt, it was with HL Pro Tools too. It's hard work, and I'm at a stage now in my life, I'm 52 years old, I want to be able to enjoy my life as well. I'm travelling around England on a narrowboat with my little dog, and we go for walks and visit pubs, and that's more important to me now than working that hard on an agency. And there's team, you can get everything fulfilled, you can get people to do everything you don't. If you can't sell, you can get a salesman in. If you can't fulfill, you can get a fulfillment team in. You can do all that, but it's still hard work and building it. And when I sold my agency, I was approached by a fulfillment company to come in and work for them, and I loved talking to agents. I love talking to agencies, and they make money now through affiliate marketing, through affiliate codes and all of that sort of thing. Hey, you like company A, B or C? Let's talk about that, find the best fit for you. Listen, it costs you nothing to have that call. If you don't mind using my code, the company's going to pay me for sending you over. But the most important thing is to find the right fit for you. So that's how I sort of fell into that. I don't work a heap of hours a week or anything like that. I spend more time walking my dog than I do working on my computer, which is an important balance for me. Saying that, the agency life, I remember breaking my balls setting up that agency. My wife was working extra shifts to support my GHL habit, to pay those bills and all of that sort of thing. I was working full time in sales. I was driving Uber at night. I was coming home from driving Uber and then trying to build my agency. Then I got a few customers and I could give up my working life, and I just driving Uber full time. I was waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning, doing the airport runs, pulling over on the side of the road with my laptop, doing sales calls while on the road, just turning the Uber app off, and then basically driving to 7 or 8 o'clock at night, meeting my wife for dinner, falling asleep, rinsing and repeating. And I know it's hard. I was there. And then you finally take that leap on making enough money, and just making enough money to be able to put food on the table and pay rent and do all of that sort of thing. And then you get the email, I want to cancel my account, or payment bounced, or whatever it may be. And that's food on my table. I've got to spend that money. What do I do now? And that is building an agency on a bootstrap, basically. Unless you can go out and crowdsource and fund and all of that sort of thing, that is building an agency on a bootstrap. It's hard work. And I'm an old man now. So I prefer to talk to agencies and help them.
Working with that many agencies, I want to pick your brain on this. So you had this unique opportunity to talk to so many of them. What did you find like a model that seems to be the most stable? Because you mentioned you sold your agency 186 sub accounts, but when you say agency, I want to define it. So are we talking pure agency, just like retainer services, or hybrid with subscription?
Pure SaaS.
SaaS.
Pure SaaS. I tried building everything and customizing everything, and I ended up with 15 VAs working for me, and VAs would not show up, and or their grandfather would die for the third time that week and they couldn't come in, or there's a storm, and I found myself on a Sunday afternoon building a client's website so they could go live on Monday when my VAs weren't there. So pure SaaS. I did a lot of training. I had every question my clients were asking to the support team who I outsourced. I would find those questions, address those in videos, put it into my training, put it into the knowledge base, talk about it in my open office hours. I was doing calls every Wednesday, then I went Tuesday, Wednesday, then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, where I was doing hourly calls. Like I said, same snapshot across every sub account, so I could do those group calls successfully. And away we went. I pointed them to VA agencies with my affiliate code and said, if you want help, if you want something built, go and talk to these people, see if they're a fit.
Oh, nice. That's
so
great.
I was making the affiliate commission on the side there. And that was the start of my career in networking.
And that was still this is the business that you're talking about, where you'd still have to pull aside on the road, driving people in Uber and all that, or is this
that's
after?
How it started.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, that's how that business started, was driving Uber, building the chatbots, getting the people along, driving Uber at night when I was building out the 2 big sub accounts with the 70,000 database of people in small businesses. And while that was building, it was working full time, then driving Uber as well, and then just Uber. And the grind is real. You get a lot of people out there now looking for, hey, I've opened up a GHL account. I've been using it for 3 hours. Where are my customers? They don't fall from a tree. And you give some advice to agencies out there. You were mentioning one piece of advice. Look at the Facebook group, the main GHL Facebook group. There's 120-odd thousand members in there now. Now, not every one of them is going to have their own agency, but let's say 50% of them have their own agency. There's 60,000 agencies out there. They're all trying to get your customer that you're trying to get as well. It's the same system, whether you mention it's GHL, whether you don't mention it's GHL, it's rocket to the top or whatever, .com or whatever you want to call it. Honest, if you're doing sales calls, you're doing one-to-many on webinars and things like that, people are going to buy from you. They're going to buy your story. They're going to believe in you. They're going to trust in you. They're going to buy from you. And that's what makes you different. You need to learn how GHL works. You need to know all the bells and whistles and all of that sort of thing. And you need to be able to explain that to a person, like you're explaining it to your grandma. Really, don't mention tech, don't mention workflows, don't mention AI. Sell the results. And it's a competitive world out there. It really is. If you don't have a personality, if you don't feel comfortable hopping on sales calls, partner up with somebody that does. 50% of a 100 sub-account agency is better than 100% of a 0 sub-account agency. So, partner up, joint venture, find somebody and if I started an agency again, I would do exactly that. I would partner with a marketing guy who can get me leads. I would do the closing and all that sort of thing, and a tech guy on the back end. So I'd go in with 3 people, and I'd be aiming at big numbers as well.
Yeah, I like that. Those are fundamental principles I can vouch on.
Yeah, exactly. Like in your agency, people are buying from you. You're sitting there, you're listening to them, you're finding out and you're building a fantastic solution for them. And what's your churn rate, Vic? Your churn rate would be 1% if you were lucky.
I haven't run the numbers, but it's not been too bad. I mean, I have to run the numbers. I'm just saying you're a nice guy. Oh yeah, thanks. Yeah, I mean, most of the customers, they stay. The way I started back in 2020 is I was using HighLevel as a way to fulfill services. So I would just I would have customers on a retainer, like $2,000 a month type of thing, and run their ads and all that. But the shelf life of those type of customers is not that long. So that's when I realized, I got to switch it. And maybe it's just in my own case, it wasn't that long. On average, maybe 6 months. And I realized I don't really want to just keep that spinning wheel. So that's when HighLevel started the SaaS program. And so I realized I'm going to go pure SaaS and then have an agency services on top of it, but have the flexibility to say no if I've got out of capacity. And I can sleep at night knowing that my Stripe's got all the subscriptions. And as long as I provide really good onboarding and build my own custom onboarding around it and provide great experience and then provide ongoing support for my customers that cover all bases, then naturally they should stay. And it's been like that. Every now and then I try, and this is all about the flexibility, which is what I like. So every now and then, if I feel like it, I might go through the whole discovery and sell them a full strategy and then sell them a high ticket thing for fully custom build out for a very specific business. I had one guy who sells houses on the wheel. Like he buys secondhand trailers. He sources the whole container out of China, brings it over into Australia, and then he kits it out based on the specs that people want. They want 1 aircon, 2 aircon, extra windows, all that. He sells those units. And so he needed a custom funnel because there's also deposit taking halfway through. There's different logics. And so that mapped it all out, and it was like a close to 20K job. And I enjoyed those. Yeah, because absolutely. That's where I like to nerd out and have those couple of calls with the customer and, hey, look, and then show them like a whiteboard map of visual representation and go over that and fine tune it and then go ahead and actually build it. And then seeing it actually now working day in, day out, he's now growing. I really enjoy those, but they take a lot of time. And also, this is not something that you can do a lot of these projects at the same time. Like you take one project like that, you're going to have to fully commit to just focusing on that because there's a lot of detail. And if you suddenly switch over to another project, then you lose context. You come back to that one, and then before you get your head wrapped around it again, it's like you're losing it. And it's a tricky one as well because then it's harder to scale. If you think, well, maybe I'll just hire somebody who knows HighLevel, you could. They may know HighLevel, but it's not just about knowing the features and how they work. It's also strategic thinking and the design brain, and it's hard, right? So that's why I enjoy right now. I've got that recurring revenue with subscriptions. There's small rebilling, not huge amount because as Australia is crazy on Twilio fees, but yeah. I very much relate to what you're saying, right? With the life priorities shifting a little bit. And I've got a 5-year-old. I do enjoy the fact that if I don't want to, I don't really have to work. I'll be able to just do fun stuff. Maybe I'm not all the way there as much as I'd like to. I still work a fair bit, but I don't feel the pressure as much. Yeah. And you wake up in the morning and you're on your narrowboat. Where do you normally you go East Coast, West Coast? What's your go?
I'm in Banbury at the moment. So we were heading down. I was in Birmingham and we had to head down to Banbury because my mum was coming over. But there's no flights out of Australia via the Middle East anymore because something's happening over in Iran. So she's not coming over. So I'm in Banbury now waiting for a couple of spare parts, and everything breaks in a boat. So if you don't understand what boat means, the acronym is bring out another 1,000. And that's true because I've had my toilet blow up, I've had power blow up, I've had batteries blow up, I've had everything's happened in the last couple of weeks. But I'm in Banbury, and then we're going to turn around and head up north for the summer up to the Peak Forest Canal, which is a lovely area, and then probably down to Manchester for winter. And that's the beauty that's why I live over in England, not just because my wife is English and her family's here, but me being greedy is being able to, every weekend we travel. So we were talking about going on a holiday. It's been 18 months over here. Why? Every weekend's a holiday.
Yeah. And how do you run your business? So on the boat, you just got a Starlink, you get internet from Starlink, or
Starlink, right down. I got 250 down, 125 up. So I've got a bit better internet than most people have in their houses. As long as there's not a tree in the way. If Starlink can see a leaf on a tree 100 metres that way, I'm going to have a problem. It's really sensitive to trees and leaves. So right now I'm in the centre of town. Yeah, Starlink's fantastic, and it's great. Sometimes we're in the middle of nowhere and I got my curtains open and cows sitting at the window looking at what I'm doing and all of that sort of things. Yeah, we mix it up, towns and the middle of nowhere and all of that sort of thing. It's a great life. And yeah, I've now chosen the sort of lifestyle, working hundreds of hours a week.
I like it. You created a lot of leverage recently with use of AI as well, because you're still trying to position and continue to build the credibility in the industry as somebody who knows high level and can help and knows a lot about AI. But the way you've done it, just for the guys listening, because I get your newsletter every day, and until recently when we had that conversation, when you actually showed me the back end, I was very impressed. I don't know if you want to spill the beans on the back end and how much you want to. I don't really, but it's pretty impressive.
As Rob Bailey said, give it all away for nothing. And yeah, basically, long story short, I was working for a fulfillment business using their GHL accounts, and I was still paying $97 a month for my own GHL account. And I thought, what am I paying this for? And emails are quite expensive when you go out and look out there and you look at things like resend and things like that, and how cheap emails are through there. I didn't realise how cheap they were through there until I looked at it. But I thought, bugger this! I'm not going to pay GHL anymore. I'm going to start vibe coding. So the first thing I did while I was working for a fulfillment agency was I built a thing that I've called Salesmate. So Salesmate was designed to tie into a GHL account, listen to conversations, appointments, all of that sort of thing. But the power in it was after a sales guy finished a call, Fathom was connected. It will upload the Fathom into Salesmate. I'll get into the newsletter a bit soon. I'm going in order that I built the apps. So Salesmate, you would assign it to a contact. If a contact was in there already, it'd match the name from the recording and say you'd choose that one, or create a new contact. It'll upload the transcript. And then we've got 50 different coaches. So you can set a default coach, or you can have the Wolf of Wall Street or Grant Cardone or so on and so forth, that call and give you feedback, come up with the objections, work out if the sales rep address those objections, or if they're still outstanding as objections, and so on and so forth, and build that into the contact card. So you've also in the system got it set up. It knows the company you're working from, the logo, the brand colours, how it speaks. It learns how you speak from your calls as well. So anything it's creating is in your voice. So it's analysing all of that when it comes in. And AI can scrub your website and bring in products and the features and the pricing and all of that sort of thing. So then when you go into after the meeting, we've got the call transcript, we've had the coach come in, we've got products automatically matched and all of that sort of thing. So we can go into create a proposal. So we hit create a proposal, and it will create a proposal in the sales rep's tone using the company principles and all of that sort of thing. And you can even create a pitch deck or a proposal deck mentioning in the company brand, mentioning what you've spoken about, all personalised, and you track whether that's been opened or not, and you get notified if it's been opened so you can reach out quickly. And I even had video recording and all of that sort of thing, and then full analytics. So speed to lead, how long it took people to open emails and all of that sort of thing, all tied into HighLevel. That was my first vibe-coded project in a nutshell. I went deep. I went down a rabbit hole. I, like you, Vid, are a bit of a builder from my ManyChat days and my website days and things like that. I went down a rabbit hole. I spent way too much money on it, and I was using that in a fulfillment company. So it's sitting there at the moment. But the newsletter ones and building my website, I thought, I'm going to try and build my own website. And I don't need all of the features of HighLevel, but I want to automate it a little bit more. So I built a website. The link will be down below this or something along those lines at some stage. But basically that website is all about me, about what I do, my affiliate marketing and all of that sort of thing. And so it doesn't make a heap of money at the moment, but that's why I'm still working for other companies. But I'm building that. But basically that newsletter, before it comes out to you, I've built AI on the back end, which is listening to RSS feeds. And I've given it a subject each day. There's a GHL updates. There's funny news about AI. There's weekly roundups on the weekends and all of that sort of thing. So I wrote a book as well with the help of AI. So I'm admitting to that it's with the help of AI. There was hundreds of hours of me dictating and uploading sales calls and all of that sort of thing, and getting AI to sort of write it chapter by chapter after I was reading it and making improvements. But that got my tone. So I uploaded my tone into Lovable, into the AI, and then it's listening for the feed. So every morning in 45 minutes, a new blog post will be created. So I've created 60 odd blog posts. It'll be created with an image, generally of me, if it fits in, an image of me with my dog on my boat, or if it doesn't fit in, some sort of image. About a 500-word blog or thereabouts, depending on what it is, with links back to other articles, with links to my book, with links to book an appointment and all of that sort of thing. And then I just come in and I have a read of it and all of that sort of thing. And I choose to repurpose it. So I can repurpose it. I can choose I call it the wit level. So if I want to be serious or sort of unhinged is the top of it. And the styles, business or lifestyle or motivational or whatever it may be. I press generate. It can generate a Facebook post and a LinkedIn post at the same time as an email. But the email is automatically done at the moment when that newsletter uploads. So when you're seeing that email come out, I'm seeing it for the first time as well.
I was very impressed when you showed me. It's like you've gotten to a point where you're so happy with it, you don't have to do check-in on it. You just let it run.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, sorry, go.
What I've taken even further is now I'm lead scoring. So because through Resend, I can track opens and clicks and time between open and click and second clicks and all of that sort of thing. I've got a whole pipeline of people that have clicked the email, opened the email, booked a call, downloaded a book, registered for my course. So I've now got a pipeline, so I can send to people things just in that pipeline. Like at 7:47, somebody opened an email. So they got 5 points for that. So we're tracking all of that. So I've got a full pipeline now that I've custom built for me that does all of that. It's pretty cool what you can do. And that I also run my consulting business through there. So I'm getting old and I don't remember everything. So for those guys that I consult, I apologise. But basically I upload a call recording and all of that sort of thing. When I've got a new call coming up, I create a brief. This is what you spoke about. This is what you promised. It tracks the email coming in and out and all of that sort of thing. After a call, I say create an email. It creates an email about what we spoke about, what I've got to do, what they've got to do for the accountability and all of that sort of thing. Then I just do the next one and the next one and the next one, and that allows me to do a fair bit of consulting and coaching as well. All done in my tone, with my knowledge, in my voice.
I love it, You just made me think of a feature that I'm going to build. So recently, HighLevel has deployed direct integration with Fathom. And I've tried it. I was trying to get the full transcript, but it didn't give me an ability to save it to a custom field. So I'll come back to this, guys. I think it's a bit of a skateboard, but it's going to get next iteration. I'm sure it's going to get dialed in. But I'm thinking every time I'm meeting with somebody, I always use the native calendar inside GHL, and they get all the reminders, and I get 1 or 2 emails because I don't really need to see all that many reminders. It's my own meeting. But once I plug in that Fathom transcripts, and it's just going to keep saving all the past ones, then I'll just set up a AI workflow or AI action to just give me a summary kind of, hey, here you got an upcoming call with so-and-so tomorrow. Here is what you talked about last time. Here's what you want to follow up on. So rather than having to go into the contact and try to go through it, I'll just get a silver I'm a big fan of just getting served on a silver platter stuff. I do a lot of these emails that you just get about events that happen inside GHL, but it's just an email that you just, like for the podcast, right? So I got, my wife does post-production. Once we've done the editing, she uploads the full transcript from Descript into a custom field in GHL, and then that does repurpose for a whole bunch of stuff. But one of the actions is for me to pick headlines, which one of the headlines I want to pick. And now because YouTube has a split testing on headlines and also thumbnails, then I got to give her 3 options. But again, in the day-to-day, I'm doing all the other stuff. I've got it in my calendar as a task to do, but I always forget about it. But I get an email. I'm always living an email. So I just see there's an email today, and it just tells me, here's what you need to do. So I don't have to think too much. So I think to your point, what you're saying, like maybe you're getting older, maybe you're forgetting things. I don't know if that's the case, because it's been happening to me as well. Like we have the business that we're in is just like information overload. I think, and with AI and like everything just feels like it's just going even way more crazier than it was like 12 months ago. So there's just a lot of information to consume, to process, and to stay on top of it. So I'm trying to save my brain as much as I can by being less in proactive mode and more in reactive mode. It sounds weird, right? Because in the kitchen, going back to the kitchen, you always have to be proactive, right? You have to think about this and that. But I think this is like in the business space that we're all in high level and helping these businesses, it's all intellect based. You're not picking up a shovel and digging something. It's not very physical, right? It's all mental. So I think this is the most important resource. And whatever you can do because there's a certain amount of capacity that you have during the day before you kind of hit the afternoon slump, and then you get over the slump and then it picks up again. But at the end of the day, there's only so much that you can be really productive until you're kind of running on fumes. So,
and that's the power of the world we live in right now. You can, if you use AI for good, not evil, you can really sort of program, and everything that you're describing you can do in high level as well. I like playing with Lovable and building the apps and all of that sort of thing, because you get more personalization. Like my website that I built in Lovable, if you've downloaded a book or clicked on an email, it's going to know who you are when I visit my website. And it's going to, hi Vit, welcome to my website. If you've downloaded the book, it'll ask you, how's that book going? Or, hey Vit, you've been here 57 times. I get notification that a person that's visited me 57 times is back, and I can reach out. I've got a fairly warm lead if you've been there 57 times. And if you've been clicking on those emails to read more and all of that sort of thing in the blogs, then it's all tracked. So I've sort of built a smart website as well to make my life easier. All it does is sort of tell me what's going on, and I've got to take action as well, but I can get everybody that's got 500 lead points or above and just send them a personalised email in my tone, created in a wit level, in my wit slider. It's not full unhinged or pub banter. I've got my little sliders sorted out like that, because I like to have a laugh and don't take life too seriously. And it will send an email. I think it's to get people to read my book or to join my membership or to creating presence and knowledge about me as I try to do that.
Get a little technical. How do you personalize those email to click through into the website? The way I've been always doing it is trigger links and then adding UTM parameters and then injecting the extra value into the UTMs and then having on the website those curly brackets. Also, one thing I've realized, you can't just use the native fields unless it's on the back of a form submissions onto the thank you page. But if it's on the back of just a trigger link to go on any random page, you have to kind of create your own custom values, and there cannot be any dot. It just has to be a single word or word broken down by underscores. It's getting really technical. But I wonder how you've done it. I know you've done Lovable, so you've got probably a whole bunch of code that was generated by AI for you. But when people click that link and it takes them and it says, like the basic one is that obviously the first name personalization, but you do more than that. So I wonder how you've done it. Is it UTMs or?
No idea. So in case you don't know, vibe coding is not real coding. But to be good at vibe coding and building apps, you need to be a visionary. You need to know what you want. You need to tell the AI what you want. You need to know, and to be an efficient vibe coder, you need to use different bits of the best parts of different AIs and patch them all together. I don't know how it works, Vic. I really don't know how it works. I know it does work because I wanted to see if it worked. So I can, in the back end of my website, I can impersonate somebody. So anybody in my list, in my email list, I can impersonate them and see how my website would look to them.
Right.
Because if they haven't downloaded my book yet, then the book will go up towards the top, just under the fold. If they have downloaded my book, the website will adjust and move that down to the bottom. If they haven't seen my testimonials, it will move that up to the top, because people only scroll so far. So I'm making sure they see all of that content on subsequent visits.
That's smart.
People don't think of doing things like that. You really do need to have that experience, be that visionary, and know what you want. And then you start opening a rabbit hole. You can really go down rabbit holes with how you're doing it and what you're doing and all of that sort of thing. Like, I've got 80 odd different courses in what I call my academy. And we're tracking how much they're watching, basically like the membership site in GHL. But I didn't want to pay $97 a month just for a membership site. So I built my own in 2 hours. And that's what I think the world is going to become. GHL is going to be there to be the back end of a lot of things, because it's a powerful tool. There's no other tool on the market like it with what they're doing. There's nobody moving faster. There's nobody out there. But people are going to be building little micro SaaSes that are just what they need, simplifying it, connecting it to HighLevel for the social media posting or the SMSs or the emails or whatever it may be, reporting back into that little dash. I really believe the world's going that way, into those little micro SaaSes, and using things like GHL to run the back end. Your client will never log into GHL. They'll log into their own little app and have a little admin password to get to the back end of their website and just run it from there. I think that's coming soon.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think that's an evolution for HighLevel themselves. I think one thing I'd like to see is ability to customize how many menu items, how many features the new customers gets to see. I think Matt from HL Pro Tools, there is something, but that's more in the context of when you're using a SaaS configurator. If you're selling plans based on features and if particular feature is locked out, he's got this thing where it allows you to still see it in the menu, but then if you click on it, it just gives you this pop-up to say, hey, this is a feature of another plan. But natively, HighLevel themselves, I think, would be cool if they had something like that natively, because less custom CSS from third-party vendors there is, faster generally it works, and there's less prone to like having to refresh the site because there's just stuffed with extra stuff. But the ability to like customize the adoption journey for new customers, I think it's significant, because the overwhelm is real. And like you said, a lot of small business owners, they're busy, and I've had it in many cases where people telling me, yeah, I'm just a little bit overwhelmed, getting a little bit too much. And that's all in a good faith, and coming from point of, I want to make sure they're really well onboarded. So I send them a bunch of really good information in the emails, and there's sequence and all that. But even then, some still get overwhelmed. And I wonder if there's a way to customize, because you also don't want to make it a blank rule, right? Like the way it is right now, it's like everybody gets to see everything. Okay, well, that's going to be okay for some, but a lot of them not. But I wonder if there was I've been thinking about it for a while, like maybe in my SaaS sign-up process, as soon as they pick a plan, they get taken to the next step. And then in there, just a simple button to qualify what's their prior experience of using CRMs and stuff. And then just based on what they click on, that'll update a custom field. And then from that point, they'll be seeing different stuff than the other ones.
Yeah,
Cool.
Absolutely. I'm a big fan in the onboarding process of outsourcing that, a human being. I found in my experience with an agency, I tried recording my own videos. I had other people record videos for me in the onboarding process. I tried doing it myself. I didn't like doing it because you get sick of people. Now, just go to your DNS settings and click that button, and you get sick of doing that. So, I outsource the onboardings, and That was a huge relief. I charged my clients a setup fee. I was that stupid and that green when I was doing my agency. I used to do a 30-day free trial, and I was building them custom solutions during that 30 days. That's how stupid I was. That's just absolutely
Well,
ridiculous.
the logic, it's not stupid. I think it's all in good faith. You think, well, if I over deliver, then because the name of the game is they convert over to paying subscriber. So if I can really impress them, then that'll work, right?
Yeah,
But,
it's not scalable. It's not scalable. I can tell you because I tried
not.
it.
Yeah.
I charged them a setup fee. I charged them $149 US setup fee, which I paid to another company to do that onboarding process. And then
What's the setup fee?
Setup fee is setting up their account. So going through and hooking up social media, connecting domains, connecting emails, buying a phone number, all of the things that make HighLevel work. And then a second call, orientation call, if you like. So, okay, so this is how the workflow builder works. This is how your snapshot works and all of that sort of thing. And then I had my own training on how the snapshot worked as well. Remember, one snapshot everywhere. And you know, I use the Marketer's Toolkit, which is a great product out there. I know Matt's got a great product as well, but there's no other product like the Marketer's Toolkit, and most people will tell you that. And you can tie it into your SaaS subscriptions, and it will hide those menu items, exactly what you were mentioning. It will do that depending on which plan they choose and all of that sort of thing. So it will do that when GHL builds the account, basically. So you can just...
But that's based on the plan they're choosing. Can you set it up so it's on schedule? So like the first week, they're only going to see conversations and maybe 3 other things. And then a week later, it automatically unlocks the next feature. And if you could tie that in with an automation workflow that onboards them for that next feature through emails, then that's what I'm talking about.
That's a good idea. I don't know that it exists, but that's a really good idea to automate that onboarding process. But then you're also relying on people watching a video and reading an email. And people don't do that. That's why I like the in-person onboarding. When I was trying to do it myself, I was churning about 20%, which is not sustainable either. Because here's the video, go in and use the platform. As I grew and learnt, and I'd never run an agency before. I was a chef that drove Uber, that no idea what I was doing. But as I learnt, and I learnt the hard way, when it hits in your pocket and takes food off your table, you learn fairly quickly. Yeah. So, you know, I learnt that I needed something. I learnt that I couldn't have a team of 15 odd VAs working for me when most of the customers would get to the 30-day mark when I've done all the work and they'd go. A few of them would hang around, and I was building something slowly. So skin in the game, get that set up. I never had one person object to the setup fee. Never had one objection on the $149 US setup fee. But then I would start their subscription after 30 days. And I was only charging $129 US a month for the SaaS and the snapshot. And yeah, away we went. The rest is history there. But yeah, making people watch videos and making people open emails is a pain in the ass because people are inherently lazy. I know I am.
Yeah. Well, the way I do it is I've got a hybrid. So I do both. Yeah. They have to do account owner onboarding. I don't want to talk to anybody else on their team. I want to talk to the owner first. Yep. Because it's about change management. They're going to have to do on their end. Otherwise, it's going to go belly up. Then once I understand that they understand what they bought into and they're excited, then I get them to organize a team onboarding with their team, and they have to sell us to their team as a new strategic partner so that their team knows that we're legit, we're not just some subscription. Yep. And then that gives us an opportunity to talk to their team and see, okay, what their roles are. And then if somebody's in a sales role, then we'll say, okay, well, we're going to put you through this course and just go through these couple of features, and they're going to get you up to speed. And then we explain what's going to happen next, and that is we're going to be setting up your account, and that process might take a week or two, and we'll probably work with either your boss or somebody who he's delegated, who has access to all the things. But we don't want you guys keep hanging, waiting until the account is set up. So that's why we're going to put you through these courses, and that's why we're here to introduce each other. And so I put them into different courses. So I've got one for sales reps. I've got one for just the general admin, so that's more about learning the CRM. Yeah. And then the third role might be, there's 2 more roles actually. The third role might be like a in-house marketing person who's doing social media, blogs and things like. So then the course is going to be all about those features. And then the last one is for managers. Like the owner and any managers, if they've got like a management, middle management, if it's a bigger business. For those, it's all about the reporting and how do you create your custom dashboard even. And that gives me opportunity to upsell, maybe even if they want like something really custom built for them, like a dashboard and reporting. So then everybody just goes through those features rather than going through the whole lot. And then 2 weeks later, we come back for final 2-hour team training call where now they've seen it through the courses. And now we're just going to go real time and just cover any gaps. And then after that, when it comes to ongoing support, if anybody gets stuck, and this is where I've made it more scalable, it's office hours. Good old office hours, right?
Yep.
But the way I've done them, I've seen everybody does their office hours like they've got a set time and they always show up. I didn't want it to show up if somebody's not going to be showing up there for it. So I've just made it a requirement. You have to book for it. It's free, but you have to book for it. And I'm using the class calendar feature, which allows you to have multiple people for the same slot. So I blocked it to 30. And up until recently, the way I actually had it, I had a 30-minute block. And so it was like 11 to 11:30 and then 11:30 to 12. So that if somebody was booking for 11 and it was only one person, it's just 30-minute block and I can manage my time better. But if I feel like it or if there's they need more help, I'm happy to have flexibility to extend it and say, I'll just hang around for a little bit longer. Let's just stay for another 30 minutes and I'll help you with that as well. But it gives me flexibility. So if it's something small, just do it in 30 minutes. But that's maybe just, I've got rid of that. So now it's just an hour thing. But yeah, I think onboarding is crucial. Time will tell. I don't have huge volumes. So time will tell how this works. But I think you have to do both. I think you have to be in there like personal onboarding. You could outsource it too and hire somebody who handles those calls. I've got a particular way about it. But I think that plus courses plus some emails and all that. And
mate, you've got a great little system.
Trying to hit all the angles.
I've heard of a lot of systems and doing that, and the personal touch is the important one. I love the idea of having them sell you to their team. That's really creating the team being invested in it, because most businesses with teams and things like that, you're going to lose them because of the team, not the owner or the manager.
Exactly.
The team don't take it up. So that's a great idea doing that.
Change management is the biggest reason why new things that get rolled out in any business fail. And there's many reasons for it. One, the people working for that owner, they're generally the one who are in the weeds, not the owner. And so if they're not part of the process, they're going to feel, not being appreciated. So I want to make sure that their team feels like they're part of the process.
Yep.
And if I can make it sticky with them, then even if the business owner decides and looks at it, for whatever reason, looks at it just purely as an expense and wants to cancel, well, I've made it sticky for his staff. So his staff are going to be the one fighting for me because
Exactly right. Exactly right. No,
stickiness and adoption.
Great way of doing it, mate. Well done on doing that.
Right, we're at the end of the show. I've got so many more questions, so we'll have to come back for part 2 on this. But what I wanted to do now is just give you an opportunity to speak to the listeners, speak to any high level out there. You've worked with hundreds of agency owners. You know what the rookie mistakes are. You know what works. You know what doesn't. Like a last parting piece of advice that you'd like to give to the guys, and then also if they need any help, how they can reach out for it.
I just want to reiterate, and talking to high-level agencies and most agencies and new agencies, you see all of these success stories and all of that sort of thing, and I call it the 1% club, 120,000 people in that Facebook group. Maybe 1% are making more than a wage out of high level, and that's reality. That's from me being in the business for a lot of times. A lot of people struggle getting their first customers and things like that. Want to spend the money on advertising or want to line up a team of 15 VAs before they've got their first customer. That's stupid. Don't do that. Start with yourself. Start lean. Start with team members like I would do it if I was doing it again. But remember, people are going to buy from you. There's 120,000 other agencies out there or thereabouts selling exactly the same product, but they're going to buy your story. A friend of mine, Sarah Cordner, is out there. She was saying that on Facebook post the other day. I go, Sarah, I 100% agree with you. People are going to buy your story as they buy Vit's story, as they bought my story. So don't be afraid to tell your story. Know your product, Don't sell the tools, sell the solution, and get out there and do it, and everything else will come. There's hundreds of people like me out there that will give you advice. It's a great community. There's no community out there like it. People giving free help, free advice. The people are there to help you succeed. So just find those people. And if I'm one of those people, StevenTann.com, visit my website. I've got training resources. If you want to chat AI or see how HighLevel works, there's no charge or anything like that to jump on a call if you want some advice. And as Rob Bailey taught me, give away everything you know for free and the rest will come. So that's what I'm doing. So yeah, it's HighLevel is like drinking from a fire hose. It's a lot of information. It's a big beast. And know that there's a great community out there, that you're not alone. There's people out there like Vit, like myself, and hundreds of others that are out there to help you.
Thank you for that, Steven. And by the way, this is going to be episode 92. So we're edging on close to 100 episodes. Guys, this show has been running since January 2024. And by the time we hit 100 episode, I would have spent, well, what is it? We spent about 8 hours end-to-end on producing one episode. So there's going to be about 800 worth of learnings and about 150 hours worth of interviews. And so there is, what I'm trying to say is there is a lot of really good advice and strategies from all the other OGs that I've interviewed. We had Rob Bailey on earlier on when we started the show too. So yeah, if you're looking for additional resources from lead generation or operational, there is an episode, there is an interview for that, and a lot of the stuff is timeless anyway. So yeah, just wanted to encourage you guys that you go back if you just started listening to the show. We have a big catalog, and well, maybe I'll hit you up, Steven. Maybe this is another thing that we need to develop, but maybe there could be like a little ask the thing, but it's like a dedicated for the show, and it just surfaces up the most ideal episode to listen based on the problem that you're facing.
Absolutely.
I just come up with that idea. That could be good.
Yeah, we'll have it built this afternoon. If you upload all of the episodes and all that sort of thing, have a good AI or the transcript to scrape all of that, then you've just got a chatbot that's searching the knowledge base and saying, look at this timeline of this video, and if you've got your videos time stamped, it can take you straight to that section. And away you go. That's an easy one. You want to see the one that I'm building as a pet? You want to see the one I'm building as a passion product, living on a narrowboat. I'm building a narrowboat app, which is a navigation app through the waterways. That when you're going, it shows you the weather and how long to the next bridge or the next lock, and the weather and for the next hour, what's going on. It tracks, because there's no fuel gauges or water gauges on narrowboats. So it works out each time you fill the water, you say that you filled it up, and it works out how much water you've got left and when you should be filling up, and same with fuel and all of that sort of thing, and how much wood you're burning and coal you're burning. That's a little passion product that I'm building at the moment. And the navigation part, I've got everything working except the navigation part of it is clunky as all hell. So I'm trying to work that out. So, yeah, AI is fun, guys. So is HighLevel.
What a world we live in. You just got to define your problem, but the solution can be developed very quickly. Yeah, it's impressive. Yeah, so just stand by. I think we're gonna do it, guys. I think I'm gonna approach it as a simple live chat widget on the website. It'll be backed by a bot that's fully trained, so we'll just upload the knowledge base, and then that'll help you ask questions, define your problem, and then the way I'm hoping it'll work, it'll just surface the ideal episode to go and listen to. And that's it. So thank you so much, mate. Thank you so much again for being on the show, for sharing your wisdom, sharing your experience, and providing advice to the guys listening. It means a lot to me, and I'm sure it means a lot to them. There's a lot of high level out there, or high levelers out there that are trying to make a living, trying to maybe just starting out even. And yeah, it's an incredible product. There's a lot of opportunity. Just stay resilient, guys. You'll get there.
Go out there and be yourself.
Yes. Thank you, mate.
Cheers, mate.
All right, so thanks again. Thank you guys as well. Thank you for listening to today's episode on the HighLevel Experience podcast. If you've enjoyed listening to today's episode, then please share it with your fellow agency mates and other high levels. You never know. It could be somebody has a question inside the high-level community about something and it's been answered through one of the episodes. If you know it, please do me a favor. Just drop a link as a comment in one of those posts. It'll mean a lot to me. It'll mean a lot to them, I'm sure. and it'll help a lot more people to learn about this podcast. For show notes, links, and extra tips to help you grow your agency or your SaaS with High Level, please go to highlevelexperience.com. Thank you, and have a great rest of your day, everybody.